Mr. Frederick Osusapon. Yes, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, um, your name, what you are in the business school. We know what other things that you are involved in, other training or HR things around outside GIMPA that you're involved in, and what you teach in GIMPA, and then.
Okay.
Before your presentation.
My name is Frederick Osusapon. So aside teaching HR related courses in GIMPA, I am also into consultancy. I call myself a freelance consultant because whatever consultancy that is HR related or management related that you give to me, if I have the expertise, I'll be willing to take it. So I sometimes get bits of contracts from Pricewaterhouse. Maybe if they are doing things concerning HR. For instance, they did something with commercial bank, and then it had to do with job analysis, and we were fortunate to be part of that. And then there was also one that they did about job search to find out which jobs are lucrative in Ghana and easily gotten. And that one too, I was given that contract. And so if I get contracts with consultancy firms, I do take them. I do some with Pricewaterhouse, as I have said. And I also have ones that I do with RIMS Consult and then TrustWorks. I also do some part-time lecturing for a school outside GIMPA. I think it's an online school, but it's situated in France. It's called Institute Pearl Expertise. So I teach still HR related courses there. And then, so basically, aside teaching in GIMPA, these are some of the things I also do. And I'm married with 2 children. I hope this is okay.
Yes, okay. We'll see that. Great. Okay, this morning I want you to share with us, yes, online applications, do's and don'ts as we are getting ready for the workplace. That's the theme for this semester in the Practitioners Forum, course 7 that we are running. So the floor is for you to start presenting, and then we can ask you a few questions, and then we close. Okay.
All right. So thank you very much. So let's begin. Then this is how the whole presentation would be. I will talk about, give a little introduction about what is happening nowadays as far as applications are concerned. I'll talk about some merits and demerits of online applications. Then we would zoom in onto the do's and don'ts. But we should know that the application is a process. So there will be some stages. But I'll dwell, I'll point to you which stage I'm talking about as far as the do's and don'ts are concerned. And then we'll conclude. And if there are any questions, we'll talk about it. So by way of introduction, you see, organizations nowadays and managers of organizations nowadays have realized that when you want your organizations to be as vibrant as it can be, you also have to get the best workers in the industry that you find yourself. And so they are ready and willing to go all out to use any means possible to get those kind of workers. And they have also realized that to be able to get the best of workers, you have to more or less expand your pool of applicants. So you don't have to concentrate on only maybe University of Ghana students or GIMPA students or all that, but you have to give it the best of expansion as you can in terms of getting a pool of workers. Because the more you get people applying for a job, the better your chance of getting the best of the best amongst them. And that is the reason why online selection, recruitment and selection methods have become very important. You see, people think it's COVID that brought it, but this thing has been with us for some time. It started sometime. I remember as far back as 2007, I did an online application for a multinational company that for now I'll withhold the name. So it has been with us, except that the current happenings has intensified it. So as I said, people have embraced it, organizations have embraced it. But let's note that the recruitment and selection processes or methods or approaches are a lot. Mostly when we say that, a lot of people think about interview. So we have things like aptitude tests, we have things like achievement test, we have personality test, we have vocational tests. There are even ones that are called interest test. But all of them are trying to do one thing, trying to make sure that they are able to fit you to the job that they want you to do. Okay. But as I said, interview seems to be the popular ones amongst them. It has its pros and cons anyway. So online application has become prudent due to current happenings. Example, the COVID, but also example is the fact that people and managers want to also bring in other people from other parts of the world. Now, organizations are not only interested in those who are from their country. They would be willing to take on board other people from other parts of the world. And so because of globalization, because of COVID and all other things. And so online application has become very popular and very prudent. But it doesn't mean it doesn't have some advantages and disadvantages. So first of all, we'll talk about some of the advantages of the online application processes. You see, there would be advantages for the employer, and then there will be some advantages also for the applicant who is applying or going through the process. So I'll take the employer first. You see, for employers, it is relatively cheaper. You know, the idea of now preparing coffee, sometimes I'm talking about moving from the initial step of, writing the letters and accepting the letters. Even that, we have a chunk of letters that come and we have to sift through, sieve them out, get the ones that are good enough for us to, continue the process of contacting them and all that. And it's so difficult and it's so, expensive a process to go through. And so if you have online application, a chunk of these jobs are done for you. And so relatively, it is cheaper to the employer. Also still to the employer, there's a concept called selection ratio. Selection ratio basically means that the number of people applying with respect to the job openings that are available. So if you have, let's say, only 2 positions to be filled, and you have 2 people applying, your selection ratio is 1, and it is not a good selection ratio, because the higher or the closer the selection ratio is to 1, the belief is that maybe you might not get the best of workers. And so organizations want their selection ratio to be closer to 0, if you like, because they want an instance where the job openings are few, but a lot more people are interested in that job opening, so that they feel that if they get this large or a lot of people applying, then their chances of getting the best is increased. All right, so they feel that the online applications reduce the selection ratio for them as they like. Also, you see, online applications are such that sometimes the employer does not have to give you a particular time so that he or she, the employer, is also waiting for that time and all that. Sometimes they just, there's nothing like time and place anymore as far as online applications are concerned. You can apply at any time that you want, and you don't necessarily have to go to the organization, which means we don't have to set up a meeting with you where, people have to be there, present and all that. Sometimes we can do it in such a way that we have a system that does that for us. And so to the employer, there are all these advantages. A lot of paperwork is done by the system itself. So as I said earlier, the earlier ones of, sifting through CVs and all that, there are application systems that do all that and move the ones that have qualified per their CVs, per their cover letters, per their qualifications on the CVs. And then it cuts, all those other jobs, it reduces the job for the employer. Now, the applicant also has some advantages as far as online application is concerned. One is transportation cost, of course. Gone are those days where you had to now, write a lot of application letters and then distribute them like you are FedEx or you are EMS. You go around to the banks and other places and you have to drop them as and when. So thanks to online application, now there's no transportation cost. And now that fuel prices have gone up and all that, it would have been a serious blow to your finances. Mind you, already you don't have a job. All right. So that problem has been solved for you. And there's this stress that occurs as a result of, commuting from one point to the other. Sometimes you are sweaty, sometimes, imagining you are going for, let's say your application process has gone through the next stage where you're going for an interview and, the car that you were in broke down when you had to, run and all that. Sometimes you get to the place and it's as if you are not serious, but it's not you. It's the process that made it so. And so you get stressed up and all that. Now, these things have been eliminated if it comes to online application process. It is also relatively fair. A lot of applicants would agree that it is fair. It is fair in the sense that while I am here at the back of my computer, if I can put it that way, and you are also sitting behind your computer, and all of us are, trying our luck. This idea of whom you know, and sometimes my mom works there and all that, and all that. To the applicant feels that all of you have been given an equal playing level or a playing field to more or less try your luck. Okay. There's also something we call contrast effect. The contrast effect has to do with the panel members sometimes comparing your performance with the one who went in and came out before you, let's say during an interview. Okay, so let's say the one who went in was all prepared, so good, did so well, extremely well, and you go and do average. It will look to the panel like you have done nothing. That is what contrast effect is, because they unconsciously compare you with the person who came in. So contrast effect also has an advantage. Yeah. Sometimes the one who goes in is not so good. And so when you come and you do average, it is like, yeah, you are the best they have, engaged in terms of, the interview process. So all these are, prevented. And that also adds up to the fairness of the process. So all these are prevented. Okay. And other biases like, his nose looks like my son's nose. He has a face that I feel is the face of a good HR officer and all that. It's interesting the way some panel members, look at people and, determine they are good for the job and all that. But here you are not even there. The panel can sometimes look at these things later. And so it prevents a lot more biases. But it doesn't mean online application doesn't have some disadvantages. To the employer, applicants can easily cheat. You might have someone, telling the answers to some other person. And so on screen, you are seeing someone like Fred, but you might not know who or which other people are behind Fred's computer, telling him the answers and all that. So sometimes applicants can easily cheat. And sometimes, the mannerisms that applicants put up, it is as if they are acting it, okay? It's as if that is not their natural or normal behavior that they would put up. Well, I'm sure someone is thinking, but a lot of interviews do, you can easily do that. But hiding such things in a real in-person interview can easily be detected compared to these online applications and interviews, if interview is my case that I'm using.
Okay.
So not a full view of the applicant's physical appearance. As I sit here, you only see my bust up to my bust level. Let's say the person was good when we engaged the person in the interview or whatever selection procedure that we use online. And then unfortunately, the person comes and, I'm sorry, but let's say the person has a problem with his or her legs, maybe can't walk or something. How do we detect that? Or how couldn't we have detected that earlier? If the person came to us, we would have seen that and would have made provision for the person if after we pick the person. So these are some of the issues that comes up, okay? And sometimes a camera view or a pictorial view of somebody does not really present the real appearance of that individual. So these are some of the challenges or some of the demerits that employers have raised as far as online application processes are concerned. To the applicants too, they also have their problems. They feel that sometimes the system might be, corrupted in such a way that they were good, all right, but the system would make it look as if they are not so good. So they might not trust the system that is being used. They might think that, well, my application went through, but they have intentionally, the one in charge has intentionally, prevented me from going through the process. And in a situation where the person going through the application process doesn't have the necessary gadgets or devices to support the whole application process from start to finish, the person might be found wanting, okay? So if you don't have access to gadgets to support your whole online application from start to finish, gadgets like computers, gadgets like internet connection, gadgets like even if it is a mobile phone and all that. So all those gadgets, I'm sure someone is thinking, in this era, do we have people like that? Yes, we do. We have people who might have computers and phones and all that, but where they live, their connectivity might not be so good. And so they are at a disadvantage compared to those other people who live at places where connectivity and access to data and access to information and access to these gadgets are. So that could also be a challenge for the applicants. And so for some applicants, the whole process ends up being expensive. So due to these issues that I have raised, for some applicants, I initially said you don't have to commute from one point to the other, but for some applicants, they have to. They have to move from one point to the other, another point to the other, to get their cover letters, converted to PDF if they want to get them typed and all that. And they have to move from another point to get them emailed and all that. So for some applicants in Ghana, in particular, it ends up being so expensive. Well, but you know, every process has its own pros and cons. So these are but a few of the processes. But there's also the issue raised about this genuine interaction that you would have with the applicant. So the employee employer, you know, or the applicant employer, or the interviewee interviewer, you know, interaction, the genuine one where there's a face-to-face, you look at the person, you smile, the person can ask questions, and you know, shake hands and all that. It's lost. And so issues have been raised as far as that one is concerned. But still, we have to accept it because that is what we are using now. And so we'll quickly go through some of the do's and don'ts during your online application. The first thing I want everybody to note is that you need to treat online application just as you would treat the in-person application process. So the ones that you have to type the letters, you have to move around and drop the letters, how you went about that or how you would have gone about that. And then if you secure the interview or whatever selection procedure, how you would prepare and, you know, go through the way you would dress up and all that. Treat online application processes just as you would treat in-person application processes too. So let's start with the initial ones. Some of the don'ts, some of the do's, some of the things you need to do. Initial, when I say initial, I mean the point where you have decided that I'm interested in this organization. Then you write a letter, the cover letter, you get your resume or CVs ready, you prepare them and all that. That is what I mean by the initial process. And then I would also talk about, let's say you have gotten an interview, some of the do's and don'ts. So I would always refer to the initial process when I'm talking about the point where you are gathering your information to write to the organization and all that. And then when I refer to interview, I mean, let's say you have, you know, gotten the interview and some of the do's and don'ts. So first of all, very, very important. A lot of us nowadays put just basically anything and everything on our social media handles. You see, because it is now online, the moment they get your application, a lot of employers would quickly Google your name or find out who you are. And a lot of us are, in fact, almost everybody now has a social media handle. So some of the things that you drop on your handles, you know, those insults that you put there, those bad, you know, content that you load up there might do you or might give you a big blow if you don't be careful. So you need to be very careful about what you put on your social media handle. I don't mean only Facebook. I mean all the handles, your Twitter, your Google, your emails and all that. Because now the systems are such that they keep track of the things you like. And sometimes they start sending you information about the things you keep putting there. So be very careful about that because your employer or your prospective employer might check on you if he or she gets your application. So be very careful. Now, after you have done that, you need to customize your cover letters based on the position you are applying for. What do I mean? You know, a lot of us have a general cover letter or a general CV that we keep loading. You know, we just keep uploading and in the moment we see any advertisement online, we just, you know, use the same thing. It doesn't really work. It doesn't really work because sometimes the content of that letter might not even suit the position you have applied for. So you need to customize the cover letter such that it would fit that particular position that you are applying for. So to prevent these issues of having just one cover letter or one CV or resume, have a master one. By a master one, I mean one with all your information in there, so that at any point in time when you see a particular job that you want to apply for, you find out which of the information on the master resume would be good enough for that position. And the ones that are not good enough, you don't need to add them. So get a master resume. Also, it is nice if you put your cover letter, your resume, and all other application materials like your certificates and your diplomas and all that in a PDF. So you can scan the resumes and then the certificates and like put them on Word and convert them into a PDF, so that when the application goes, it will be just one document. And so when it's open, the person who is going through has access to all the materials and all the information, because it is a PDF document. So I will be very happy if you do these things, so that sometimes it's a Word document, and when it's open on someone else's laptop, because the setup is, or the setting is different, you'd realize that the whole thing is so jammed and all that. And PDF makes it look as if it's a picture. So however you design it is how it's going to appear. So one thing you need to note is that it would be nice if you put all your cover letters and your resume in a PDF document, and you send it as one document. And then if you are doing that, please label it well. Don't label it application 1, application letter final. You are sending it to these employers, and even the kind of name that you give to the document. So you can use just your surname and maybe the position you have applied for, so that it stands out. So I would prefer you use your name and the position sometimes. So maybe Frederick Owusu Sapon, bank teller, so that you drop it in there. If it is an email that you're sending, the moment they open it, they will know. It will just let them know that you're applying for that position. So you label your PDF well. That is, if you would convert everything to PDF. Now have someone you trust go through your resume and cover letter. Now all these are the do's even before you get an interview. Even before you get an interview. Okay. So have someone look over your resume and cover letters and make suggestions. And if someone is making suggestions for you, try and pick them, because who knows, maybe these people are people who have been in the business of recruiting and selecting people, or people who themselves went through the hassle that you are in now in job search. So get someone to look through your documents for you, because it's very, very important. And then, as for this, I'm even a copy. So proofread your document before you submit them. Proofread, very, very important. People say the mind works faster than the hands. So sometimes you're thinking about something, but you might not actually type exactly what you're thinking. And the way there are a lot of homophones and homonyms and all that, some words might sound the same, but they might mean totally different things. And some words might be accepted by the laptop or the word processor you are using as a good word, but in context, it might not fit. So you need to proofread well. And one thing a lot of people don't do is to send a follow-up email. After you have sent your applications, you wait for a while, maybe a week or two. Try and send a follow-up email, especially when you know the deadline for that application. Try and send up a follow-up email. And it prompts them and it lets them know that this is a serious someone who is really interested in the job. So try and send up a follow-up email. Find out, oh, okay, I applied for this job. I know that the deadline was this date, but I want to find out what has happened. And they might tell you, okay, it's still in the process, or you didn't qualify or something, so that you move on to your next organization or your next prospective employer that you are interested in. Okay. So another thing you should do is that you update your contacts. You see, your resume always has some contacts or some referees that organizations can contact. And so you need to update them. You need to let them know that, oh, Dr. Yawson, you are one of my referees on my resume or my CV. And I have applied for a particular job. And so I'm making you aware because I don't know, maybe they might call you or something. And so this is me, Frederick, the one you taught this time, you taught this course, and I have added you. But first of all, you should have sought permission to add him or her before, that this point. So let them know, keep them updated. Another thing you should do is, job search is not a one-day show. It's not an event. It takes time. For some people, job search, I tell them job search should be a project. Handle it like a project. So keep a spreadsheet of all the jobs you have applied. Why? Because you see, you keep dropping applications. Now that it's online, you just keep dropping it. And so if you don't keep track of where you have dropped what, if an organization contacts you for an interview, you might not even know which CV or resume you loaded to that organization. And mind you, a lot of interviews are based on what you put on your CV. And so you need to keep track of all the jobs you applied. So have a spreadsheet, Excel, you put the date, you put the name of the organization you applied, and what position you applied for. And if possible, the CV, you can name your resumes or your CVs so that you will know which one you uploaded to that. Now let's say you have gone through this, an organization has contacted you for an interview and you are happy. Still, it's going to be online. And so these are things you should do when you get an interview. Prepare, and again, prepare. Very, very, very important. Prepare in such a way that you know a lot about the organization that you applied for. Prepare in such a way that you know a lot about the job or the position that you applied for. You know to the extent that you, even if possible, know how much they pay in that organization for that job or that position. Know a lot of things about the organization. Go to their website, read about them, read about the managers, read about the HR people, read about what their goals are. I mean, know a lot about the organization. And also know a lot about the job position or the job that you have applied for, and see how best you can fit into that job. So you need to prepare. Take several days to prepare. And it's so good that when they tell you you have an interview with them, it is not immediately. They don't. Sometimes they make you aware maybe a week or 2 weeks before the time. And so prepare so well, such that you will do well when you go for that interview. And because it's online, on that day or before that day, go around, find out which place is so good as far as internet connection is concerned in your area. Even if you have to climb a tree, that is just by the way anyway. So look for a place that is so good as far as internet connection is. Get your data ready. If normally when you do a lot of online things, your data moves so fast or reduces so fast. Get a lot of data, buy so much data. It will be better you have more after the interview than it cuts during the interview. So ensure your internet connectivity is good. Select a good background. Let's say you have gotten the internet connectivity, everything is so good, everything is so perfect. Select a good background. Check your lighting system. If it is not so good, find out if it is better for you to be outside. And of course, if you're going to be outside, make sure you don't go to a place where there's so much noise and all that. And if you can't be outside, try and add up the lighting so that the lighting will be so good, because they would like to see your face and see your face well. Also ensure that you set up earlier before the time, because sometimes if you wait till the 9 o'clock that they have given you and you try setting up, they might come online if it is not a customized interview program. I'm saying that I will explain that later, because there are some programs that they have customized it. The people don't even sit. There isn't any panel. Okay, and imagine such programs will be customized in such a way that on that particular time they start. And so make sure you are there. You set up earlier so that the moment it starts, you are already there. If it's possible, do a trial interview with your selected conferencing platform, okay, online conferencing platform. If it is Zoom that you're going to use, try Zoom, okay? Especially if you've changed laptop, try the Zoom again. If it is Google, Hangout, Skype, whatever it is, try, do a trial version of it, the interview. Let people listen in and then give comments and all that. Very, very important. Dress as you would dress in an in-person interview. I'm sure someone is thinking, why would I do that when I'm at the comfort of my home? Why do I have to stress myself up, iron, press my jacket and my shirt and my tie and all that, and get my shoe polished? Do I need to do that? Mr. Fred, why would I do that? Yes, you need to do that because psychologically, it puts you in the mood. Psychologically, it puts you in the mood. You see, because you have psyched yourself that you're going for an interview and you have dressed as if you would for an in-person interview, you are more or less ready. It makes you ready. Consider a situation where you have only worn the jacket and the shirt up there because you can see only that part of your body. And mistakenly, maybe you have to stretch for something and all that, and they see you are wearing boxers. It's so uncalled for. It's so uncalled for. In fact, that might let you even fail the interview. So dress as if you would for an in-person interview. Look into the camera. Do this if you're speaking, okay? Because now, if you do this, the one who is going to watch, or the one who is watching, or the panel that is listening to you, feel like you're looking straight into the eyes. But if you look elsewhere and you're speaking and all that, it reminds them of the in-person interviewee who tries to shy away from their contact. Okay, so look into the camera, because looking into the camera is what you're doing for an in-person interview where there's a saying that you have to keep contact. Okay, so look into the camera when you're answering your questions. Look into the camera, very, very important. You need to practice this because it takes time for you to master. Even me, I have not been able to master it yet. But try as much as possible to look into the camera when you're speaking. And speak clearly and loudly enough. You see, unlike the in-person one, when there might be someone there to prompt you that you are not speaking loudly enough or clearly enough. Sometimes the online ones are systems. It's just a system. There's nobody there. They pose the question and then they listen to you as you speak. There's nobody there. And so if you don't speak clearly and loudly, it will look as if you are not so confident. And so it might cause your failure. It might cause you not to move on. And as usual, sign off by thanking the panel. Get some time to thank the panel. Let them know that you appreciate the chance that they have given you, for that interview. And sign off well. Okay. Don't say, well, because it's online, so it's okay. I'm saying this because, as I said, there are some that are systems. And so you have to create time to sign up before the time is up for the system to cut. All right, so sign up. Now, one thing that you should not do when you're applying for the job is to caption the letter to whom it may concern. Who is the whom here? So get the if it is a woman who is the head of HR, and you know, just say, dear madam. If you doubt whether it will be a male or a female, just say, dear sir or madam, something. Dear HR director or something. What is to whom it may concern? They would also treat your cover letter and your resume as to whom it may concern, because nobody is called whom there. And so nobody would even look at it. They will push it somewhere. So that person that it concerns will come and look at it. So, I mean, address your letter. Mind you, these things that I'm saying are not exhaustive, but I'm keeping, I'm trying to make sure I limit it to our Ghanaian situation. Okay. Now, during the interview, imagine you've gotten an interview. Some of the things you don't have to do is to answer the questions with assistance of a device or a book or an individual. The very good HR professionals might realize that they would catch you. Because if someone is helping you with their answers, you realize that there's a way even your interaction with them will change. They ask you a question, it takes a longer time, very long time for you to answer. And sometimes they might even hear the whispers of the individual. So try. If you prepare well, why would you need the assistance of a group? I'm sure if you read a lot of the online documents, they might tell you use what they call the sheets, as in cheating, cheat sheets, where you put some of the things around, so when they ask you a question, you can easily refer. Well, if you are good at that, looking on that and going back to the camera, if you are good at that, that's fine. But if you are not, why do you even have to do that? My advice is that don't do that. And if it is in your mind that you're not going to do that, you would prepare and prepare well. Okay. Don't try relaxing in a leisure chair or a couch. Now, if you do that, unconsciously, you tell yourself you are the boss, you are the one in charge. And you might answer the questions as if you are the one doing the interview, as in you are the interviewer, instead of the other way around. And so if you relax, your answers would also be relaxed answers, and answers that are not, sorry to say, serious answers. Okay. So do as if you are in an office, you are engaging someone, so that you give the best of answers. Okay. Don't turn off your camera during the interview. Now, I'm sure this is dicey. If before the interview started, you made the panel aware that given your location, given where you are and all that, you might not be able to, show your face throughout. Or you show your face and you apologize that you might have to go off because of connectivity and all that. That is totally different from not telling the panel or not telling the system anything, and then all of a sudden you just go off. It is annoying to them. It shows that you are not serious. It shows that you want to hide something. So don't turn off your camera during the interview process. And don't feel like you need to rush into answering questions. It would be better that you answer a few questions and answer them well than trying to answer everything. This is not a 1-minute quiz where you have to answer as many as you can. And the more you're able to answer the correct ones, the higher your chances of getting the job. Try and answer the few ones that you can answer well, and answer them well. Emphasis is on well, than to rush to answer everything. And also when they ask you a question, let's say it's a panel one, it's not a system. Take your time, relax, and then, do a quick thinking, a quick introspection, and then answer. Because that might give a better answer than you rushing to answer virtually every question that they ask you. So it is, as I said, this is not extensive. I have not exhausted all of them, but these are the key ones that you need to look at. And so what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that, look, online selection methods will not go away again. People are thinking after COVID, it will go back to in-person. In-person would be there, but online would also still be there. And a lot of organizations have realized that there are a lot of advantages with the online, and it saves them a lot of energy, a lot of cost and all that. And so they have embraced it. So online selection methods have come to stay, which means that applicants should also be aware that they need to know the etiquettes of online applications, so they would always score high. Going through the process, getting the interview, getting the job, even if it is going to be online. Okay, so we all have to try and adjust to the situation that has come now, so that we'll be able to adapt and adapt very well. So this is where I end, and thank you all very much. And if there's any questions that anyone wants to ask.
Yes, I have a few questions for then some form of for you to help us next. On the issue of the CV, you did say that you mentioned.
Doc, please, could you speak a bit louder for me?
Louder. Oh, okay. On the issue of CVs, the CVs, yes, you said that you have to keep a master
resume.
CV. Yeah, resume sort of thing. That's good. That's good. No, this is, I think that we have to stress it a little bit more, because what happens is that some of the online job applications they are structured, and they sort of questions. You don't have the luxury of like you writing your own. They've asked the question, your date of birth, so you have to take in it and putting it in, and the system itself sort of, after you press submit, puts it in a sort of in a format for that they require. So you have all the luxury of all your flamboyant language and English. If it's education, it gives you a box. You write the name of the school, year, beginning, and then the next one, then the next one. Then if it's 3, 4 schools or 5 schools, so yes. You sort of have to get that master list and use that master list to fill some of these forms. Like if it's a structured CV format that they are looking for, that's what you want us to. Yes.
Yeah. Doc, thanks very much for the question. Now, there's the ones you are talking about. We generally refer to them as application blanks.
Okay. Yes.
So application blanks. Yes. You see, if you do a good CV, you would realize that the application blanks are demanding the very information on that CV, except that they have put them in question forms for you.
Oh, yes.
So if you have a master resume or a master CV, that even gives you the chance of reducing the time you're going to use in, just typing all these things and sometimes looking up in the skies to know what to do there. You just copy and then, just paste them in there. So I hope, Doc, this one is okay. So you still have to keep a master CV. It helps. The master one is the one that has every information. Even your JSS soccer trophy that you won, you can put it in there. So that if it gets to a point where you would need that information, you just, cut it and put it in there. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Yes. Also, with the issues of, you did mention, okay, well, we've done that because sometimes it's also not just the CV, but the rest of the whole application is kind of made up of form. It's in a form format, so you just have to fill in those things there. So you have to get all your documents ready and around you to be able to. Yes. Yes. There are some that you can press, like you can stop it and then come back to it later if you don't have the question. There are some that you don't even have it means that you have to start all over again. The older system, yes, and then the system will put it in a PDF format or something, and then you get a copy.
For you.
Yes, for you. Yes. The other part is there are issues of access of internet, which means that you have to prepare before. I mean, if you're having access to internet issues, I mean, then you have to, the day that you want to, or when you want to do it, you have to go to a cafe or go and stay somewhere and that sort of thing. But so that you be confident that you are having a system that works. Other than that, as you said, in the middle, the whole thing just goes off, and then all that, then you start blaming, yes, I live at this place and our system is not good. But that excuse may not wash with the panel.
Of course, yes, it wouldn't.
Yes, yes, that's it. And then the other issue of how do we trust the system? I mean, we are used to this face-to-face thing, okay, face-to-face thing, and then knowing people. Yeah, you look at the body language of the panel, and you have an idea of whether you are you are saying the right thing.
Doing well or not.
So how do we trust the system? How do we manage that part of the process? That's a tough one.
This is a question that will push a lecturer to the board. You know, this is a board question, a question that will push every lecturer to the board. All right. Now, trusting is a strong word here. I think you just have to cope, okay, in the sense that if you know deep down that every information that you have given, there's a saying that if you write an exam, sometimes you have an idea of what score that you would get. So if you know that every other information that you have put there is so good and accurate and the job suits you, I mean, everything about the job is you, then the advice I would give is go on and put in all these appropriate information and then pray. But another way you can trust the system, I mean, a valid or a practical way you can trust the system is to find out how often that system has been used to pick up some people. Let's say Gamepar is now using a selection system or an online selection system. By way of your preparation, you can find out who in Gamepar has ever been selected or picked with that system and find out how the person went through the processes and all that. That is a more practical way that you can trust the system. I am sure one of your church members or somebody you might know might have used that system in that organization before. And if it worked for that person and it has worked for about 4, 5, 6 people, I think that would be a good way for you to trust the system that it might work for you as well. I hope it is a good answer now. But when it comes to these things, you just put in the best information that you can. And then just wish that everything would just go through.
All right. Now, as we wrap up, any advice for our students at the business school? Yes. Any advice in the area of HR, in the area of online application or applications in general, interviews as you talked about? Any advice that you want to?
Okay. The advice I would give is that, you see, the quest to get a job, is just like learning how to drive, if I may put it that way. You see, the more you try your hands on smaller instances or on ones that are similar to the bigger picture, the chances of you doing well when that you get to that level where that is your dream job and all that. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that by way of practicing to be a worker, start by doing voluntary works for organizations, start by doing attachments, start by doing internships, even if it is free. Because you see, if you have worked before, when you're looking for a job, when you're looking for a new job, It seems to be easier. I have not done a research to support this. I'm using my personal experience. So you realize that when you go for interviews, those who have worked before or who have had a chance to work with people before seems to have a better chance of getting that job because they are more confident. They feel that, you know, this is also another test that I have to pass, but if I don't, but those who have never had any chance to work before and have not interacted with people on the level of work seems to be so jittery. And, you know, they always seems to be so pushy. And they are the ones who are quick to answer the questions because they have set their minds that is this job or none other job. And so for me, one way you can practice these things is to get attachments, do voluntary services, do internships. And mind you, these are also building your CVs for you. They are building your resumes for you. So this is an advice to students of GamePam. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Okay. What you can do for me now is to unshare your slide.
Okay, so I should stop sharing the screen.
Yes, something on slide. Yes, then we'll put a closing one there. There's sure